there are so many reasons why I got into teaching.
One of the best things is the light bulb moment.
When you see a pupil suddenly understand something, that's really, really special.
Every child is so full of potential, and the thing that makes me proudest to be a teacher is seeing them realise what they are capable of.
I don't think any other job can give you the same satisfaction.
That's why I chose to teach.
You could get £26,000 tax-free to train. Search Apply to Teach. Selected subjects only, subject to eligibility.
You're now listening to Gamertag Radio's E3 2015 coverage. This is Gamertag Radio, a Gamertag Radio exclusive. Let's get this started.
All right, live here, E3 2015, and you're the producer of the new Tony Hawk game, correct?
Yep, my name's Andrew Petrie, associate producer, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
So tell us a little bit, but for those that never had a chance to play the older games of Tony Hawk, how this one's going to be different than the previous games.
So the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series, it's a long-standing series, and it has a number of different things that make it what it is. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater has always been about an arcade feel. It's very fast-paced, it's very fluid. It's not a simulator. It's all about those combo strings, fast-paced action, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, it's going to be the same thing, but what we're adding is something that Tony Hawk himself has wanted to do for a very, very long time. And what that is being able to have a lot of people in a skate park at any given time, so you actually feel like you are in a real skate park playing with other, skating around with other people. So in this one, the biggest change that we have is definitely the inclusion of dedicated servers where you can play in skate parks with up to 20 other people. And with those 20 other people in those skate parks, you will be able to engage in a series of different missions and a variety of different game modes, some of which are the classic game modes that most people are familiar with, such as King of the Hill and Time Attack. And then you have a couple of other different modes, which we won't go into at the moment, but there's going to be those as well, and then tons and tons of different types of missions. So each skate park that you go into will have at least 10 different types of missions that you can engage in, and they range anywhere from doing combos to collecting items to shooting different objects to gathering objects to playing with other players and trying to do high scores. There's all kinds of things, tons and tons of different variety with those.
How difficult was it to work on this game to keep it exactly how the old school way? Because there's a lot of hardcore fans that are so excited about this game, you know, so.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it wasn't that difficult, to be honest with you, and the reason being is because Tony himself is very, very heavily involved with the creation of these games, and he always historically has been. So, and speaking of which, there's Tony.
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, no worries.
All right, that was Tony. So you were saying that he's very, very involved with the game, right?
Yeah, Tony is very involved with it. He plays the game, he provides feedback for it, he comments on how the game feels, how it looks, he does all kinds of different things. And then beyond that, Robomoto and Disruptive, the developers of the game, historically have been involved with a number of different Tony Hawk's projects. Their last game, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, was a return to its roots, just like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 is. So one thing that they're very good at is getting the feel down. So there really wasn't a big jump. I mean, it's kind of a natural progression.
One of the things too that I know about this game too is the soundtrack. Like how you guys picked on. Was it Tony? Was it both the developers getting involved too with the music?
Efforts, yeah, very collaborative effort for finding the soundtrack. Soundtracks obviously have always been integrally important to the Tony Hawk franchise of games, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 is going to be no different. We're going to have a killer soundtrack. Fortunately, I can't comment on what the songs are, but I can assure you that we're going to have a lot of cool stuff, a lot of bands that people don't recognize, some bands that people do recognize, a lot of bands that are up and coming, which is one thing that's very important to us. We want to provide exposure to bands that have a great sound, but maybe not a huge footprint yet. So it's going to be cool. A lot of
that would be a great way for them to get their name out there even more, you know. So that was going to ask that question because I know in the past there was like a lot of indie artists and part of the soundtrack. That's cool. Very cool to see that.
We will continue that trend, absolutely.
Awesome. Now let's go back with the multiplayer side. How that's going to work? Because I believe I mentioned this before, but for those that haven't heard that conversation, matchmaking, is it random? How's that going to work? And friends, how many could join the party and everybody could play at the same time?
So there's been a little confusion about how that's going to work, so I'll clear that up really quick. So the idea is that when you're playing in a skate park, the skate park itself is actually the game's lobby. So you're not going to be stuck in menus, you're not going to be messing with anything like that. The lobby itself is the skate park, and what you'll see is up to 20 other people skating around at any given time. So the matchmaking in and of itself is inherently random if you're just going to jump into a skate park. But that being said, is you can take as many of your friends as you can possibly fit into that park with you as long as you invite them. So if you have 18, 19 other friends in your friends list that all have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, put them in your party, you're all in a skate park together.
Are there going to be any old school levels, the return, like a little, it looked probably a little bit different than the one previous?
Yes, absolutely. So you'll see the return of a couple classic levels, some of which are fan favorites, but what we're going to do is, rather than doing a direct copy of the level, we're changing them up. So we're taking what was really great about the previous levels, and then we're adding another twist to it so it can feel fresh and new.
So when is the game is coming out? Any official release date?
Coming out later this fall.
Well, thanks, man, and good luck.
You're listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week.